Like and subscribe the channel. Leave a comment for more. Ghost Emperor Wild Wife Dandy Eldest Miss. C1, Yun family's eldest Miss 1. On Longyuan Kingdom's prosperous imperial streets, the people were well ordered and stood on both sides of the road, cheering in praise of the victorious return of the great general Yun Luo. This Yun Luo was considered as one of Longyuan's legends. He guarded the border for several years so that the neighboring countries would not dare to invade. Also, not long ago with one swoop, he turned 4 countries into Longyuan's subordinates. Hearing of this matter, His Majesty was extremely pleased, not only moving Yun Luo back to the imperial city to receive commendations but also to give a blank edict. With this blank edict, it is the equivalent of His Majesty's promise to fulfill one request of any kind. However, after victoriously coming back, the great general Yun Luo did not attend the court meeting to see the emperor but rushed back to the general's estate instead. Following behind him, the soldiers were all silent. Nobody was clearer than them about why the great general Yun Luo was anxious to return home. All of this could be attributed to the eldest miss of the Yun clan. It was said that while great general Yun Luo was guarding the border, that trash provoked an enormous amount of trouble. Her typical arrogant, domineering, rampant, and overbearing personality could be overlooked, but she recently caused a scandal by snatching a pretty man on the street. This led to the crown prince annulling his engagement with her. However, she could not stand this development, so she chose to commit suicide by hanging herself. If she really died, then the general estate would have one less disaster. Yet this trash didn't die. Not only was she saved, but she also appeared to have changed into a different person. She locked herself at home and did not go out for half a month. Hence, when General Yun Luo triumphantly returned to the city, he was in a rush to return to the general estate. At this time, on top of the artificial hill inside the general estate, a young lady in white had both of her hands behind her head as she lazily leaned against a rock. Her eyes were half squinted as she looked at the blazing sun in the sky. I can't believe time went by this quickly. I came to this continent a little more than half a month ago. Thankfully, during this period of time, I have completely accepted this body's original memories and also came to understand what kind of place this is. Half a month ago, she was conducting an experiment in the medical lab at Huixia University when she accidentally caused an explosion. Upon waking up, she found herself in this strange world. Yun Luofeng was her name as well when she was at Huixia, but the difference was that she was Huixia University's top student and the teacher's most outstanding pupil. However, this Yun Luofeng was a well-known trash who was talented in neither the literary arts nor martial arts. She could not even do the simple act of gathering spiritual energy, let alone becoming a true spirit cultivator. In this world, the strong was respected, so the ridicule and condemnation that a trash who could not become a spirit cultivator suffered from could be imagined. However, this trash did not merely have a general for a grandfather, but she also had the #1 dream lover of many females in Longyuan, His Highness the Crown Prince, for a fiancé since birth. Yet this trash was not satisfied with a perfect fiancé like the Crown Prince and actually dared to molest a man from a good family. This caused the Crown Prince, who finally couldn't endure it anymore, to risk offending General Yun Luo and terminated his engagement with the trash. Who would have thought that the trash, Yun Luofeng, not only did not repent but she also wanted to use suicide to threaten His Highness the Crown Prince to have a change of heart. However, the Crown Prince just turned around and left. Thankfully, the people in the general estate saved her in time, preventing her from the misfortune of dying. However, nobody knew that when Yun Luofeng was rescued, she was already dead. Now, it was actually Huixia's Yun Luofeng inside the body. Chapter 2, Yun family's eldest Miss 2. The young girl slowly sat up on the artificial hill, the corner of her lips lifting up into a wicked smile. If that person's figure wasn't so similar to the Crown Prince's and was dressed in his clothes, the Yun Luofeng who deeply loved the Crown Prince would not have mistaken him for someone else. She also wouldn't have rushed up to grab him and ended up being charged with molesting a pretty man. Of course, if it were only that, people would not have misunderstood Yun Luofeng's relationship with that man. The important reason was that when the man was grabbed by her, he started to yell, claiming that the eldest miss from Yun family was endlessly pestering him and wanted to force him to be her boy toy. Sadly, Yun Luofeng wasn't good with words and lost the ability to defend herself in her panic. So her silence confirmed the charge. Recalling the events to there, the young girl internally sighed, this Yun Luofeng is a noble daughter of a general, but she's too stupid. She couldn't see through such an easy setup and was deluded into thinking that she could use her own life to regain the crown prince's heart. If it wasn't for the crown prince's orders, why would there be someone wearing his clothes in public? The crown prince, Gao Ling, was Long Yuan Kingdom's most handsome man. He was incredibly talented and had outstanding abilities. With his identity and position, why would he be willing to marry a trash? So she could understand his grievances. However, what she could not understand was why, in order to retain his reputation, Gao Ling would frame Yun Luofeng for being immoral and ignoring her engaged status to molest a pretty man. At this time, Yun Luofeng's personal maidservant, King Yin, rushed over. Her originally panicked face changed into one of happiness when she saw the young girl sitting on the artificial hill. Hurriedly running to the front of Yun Luofeng, she panted, "Miss, Master General has returned, he is ordering you to see him in the study." Grandfather returned. Yun Luofeng froze for a second. How could she forget that today is the day of great General Yun Luo's triumphant return? Not long ago, this was the day that this body's original owner had waited for with anticipation. Who knew that she would die from someone else's scheme before she could see her grandfather, a person she had wholeheartedly missed for 10 long years? "Let's go, take me to see grandfather," the old man. She regained her wits and pinched King Yin's little cheeks, which appeared as delicious as an apple. Her stunning face was adorned with a wicked smile. And then, without waiting for King Yin to react, she headed toward the direction of the study. Inside the General Estate's study, an old and gray-haired man had an expressionless face while he sat on the chair. He looked at the white-clothed girl standing in front of him with a solemn expression. The standing Yun Luofeng lazily yawned. She had already entered this study for half an hour. But in this half an hour, General Yun Luo said nothing and just expressionlessly continued to look at her. Seeing General Yun Luo's lack of speech, Yun Luofeng, of course, wouldn't speak first. Finally, General Yun Luo could not hold in his anger and sternly asked with a heavy expression on his old face, "I heard that you recently had some publicly indecent conduct. Shouldn't you explain yourself to me? What kind of explanation do you want?" She lightly laughed. "If you choose to believe the rumor from outside rather than your granddaughter, then what you heard is what happened, I have no need to explain." Presumptuous. General Yun Luo slapped the desk with a bang, causing the desk to break in two from its force. The desk was nobly sacrificed from the old man's anger. Chapter 3, Yun Family's Eldest Miss 3. This is your attitude towards your grandfather. Grandfather. Yun Luofeng laughed before saying, "When you were guarding the border, did you ever care about me, your granddaughter? When I suffered from humiliation, who stood up for me? When someone schemed against me, and I hoped for someone to stand out and protect me, where were you? If General Yun Luo did not guard the border, would the former Yun Luofeng live such a miserable life? Or even be framed and ruined?" Therefore, she held resentment in her heart towards this grandfather who left home when she was 4 and never came back afterward. It was due to the resentment of this body's former owner that she would speak like this to the old man. However, once Yun Luofeng finished saying this, she felt her whole body relax as if something broke free. She knew that it was because she spoke what this body's original owner wanted to say, causing the last remaining trace of regret in this body to disappear. The young girl's accusing voice made the furious Yun Luo calm down. His aged body laid weak and limp in the chair with a bitter smile on his face. He knew that he owed his granddaughter a lot for all these years. Particularly her words just now, they were like a heavy stick ruthlessly hitting his heart, making it unbearably tight. In the end, all he could do was heavily sigh. Since ancient times, it was difficult for devotion and filial duty to coexist, the same with loyalty and family. For his loyalty towards His Majesty, he set aside his granddaughter, who was only 4 years old, and went to the border. He was gone for a whole 10 years, just what kind of life did she live for the last 10 years as someone who couldn't cultivate? But, once he returned, he disregarded what was right and wrong, and rebuked his granddaughter for those rumors. Fenger. Yun Luo lifted his calloused hand and shakily extended them toward Yun Luofeng before weakly putting it down in the end. "Grandfather wronged you and also wronged the entire Yun clan. Your parents sacrificed themselves for the country, but grandfather didn't take good care of you." At that moment, the originally high-spirited General Yun Luo seemed to have aged a few years. Before, he was this angry because he was disappointed in her. But he appeared to have forgotten that she was left parentless at 3, and he himself left home when she was 4. Nobody had disciplined her since she was young, so how could she possibly meet his expectations? He could still vaguely remember when he had to leave back then, how the 4-year-old Xiao Luofeng pulled on his clothes begging him to not leave. In the end, for the safety of the citizens of Long Yuan Kingdom, he heartlessly left her. If there's nothing else, then I'm going back to rest. Yun Luofeng sleepily blinked her eyes and languidly spoke. Seeing the indifference on the young girl's face, there was a touch of guilt deep in Yun Luo's eyes. He opened his mouth to say something, but all the words felt stuck in his throat, so he could not voice out a single sound. Go then. Finally, he lightly sighed and weakly dismissed her with his hand. These 2 words seemed to have exhausted all his strength, and he collapsed back with his eyes closed. At this time, General Yun Luo no longer seemed to be as vigorous as he was on the battlefield. He appeared incredibly frail, as though he had his candle blown out by the wind. It was almost unbearable for Yun Luofeng, but, in the end, she said nothing and turned around to leave the study room. It wasn't until the white figure disappeared that Yun Luo reopened his eyes. With a bitter look on his face, he stared at the empty space in the study room and asked, Qingya, was I really wrong? Chapter 4, Yun Family's Eldest Miss 4. The study's secret door opened, and a man in a wheelchair slowly moved over to Yun Luo's side. This was an elegant and refined-looking man. His features had a touch of sadness. His skin was very pale and white, the kind of sickly white where it looked like he could collapse at any moment. Seeing him would make other people feel pity. Unfortunately, this elegant yet indifferent man happened to be sitting in a wheelchair, sickly and physically disabled, making it seem like that he couldn't endure any heavy burdens. Father, you left when she was 4, so you don't know the humiliations she suffered over the years. And I, as her uncle, had no way to stand out to defend or protect her, causing her to become what she is today, an indifferent young woman. The man's voice was like sweet spring water, incredibly refreshing. But, if other people were here and heard how this man addressed Yun Luo, they would be in shock. Everyone knew that the great General Yun Luo only had 2 sons. In the past, one son was more talented than the other. The Yun family's second young master, Yun Qingya. When he was only 15 years old, he had already reached the pinnacle of the middle-level spirit cultivator and was just 1 step away from breaking through to high-level spirit cultivator. It was known that within Longyuan, there were only 2 high-level spirit cultivators, one was the great General Yun Luo, and the other was the imperial family's expert. But it took both of them 40 years to finally manage to pass the high-level spirit cultivator bottleneck. And yet back then, Yun Qingya was only 15 years old. Becoming a middle-level, peak-rank spirit cultivator at the age of 12 was a matter that would make people very proud. However, the past Yun Qingya, who achieved his ambition at a young age, seemed to forget that the tree that stands out in the forest, the wind will definitely destroy it one. In the middle of a competition, he defeated his opponent and attracted the wrath of the opponent's family. In the end, he fell from the top of a mountain. No one would have imagined that the supposedly dead Yun Qingya was actually still alive. Qingya, you have also suffered these past years. Yun Luo laughed bitterly, guilt-laced his voice as he said, if it weren't for the Yun family, you wouldn't be hiding. That power is too strong. If they knew you still lived, they definitely wouldn't let you off and also wouldn't forgive the Yun family. Yun Qingya lowered his gaze slightly, hiding eyes which were filled with sadness. He said with an indifferent, calm tone, even if I live, so what? The way I am now is no different from being dead. My strength was wasted, I can only pull through with this disabled body and sneakily live. My own niece suffers humiliation outside, and I couldn't step out to help her. If it was a decade ago, even if you and I weren't home, nobody would have dared hurt little Fenger. But now, for the sake of the Yun family, I can't let anyone know that I'm still alive. That year, when he was chased by the force that wanted to kill him, he dragged his heavily injured body away and escaped. Not even a day later, the news of his death was spread, but that force didn't believe he died, so they would send people every day to observe the Yun family. In the end, he hid in the secret chamber. Once hidden, he hid for a little over a decade. Living in the darkness without light for a little over 10 years did not help his illness. It only made it worse. What left him in even more despair was that, when he was escaping from his pursuers, his soul realm was destroyed. His strength disappeared, and he could no longer cultivate. If it wasn't because father already lost brother and he could not bear to let his father bury his own child again, then maybe, he would have ended his suffering long ago and left this world. Qingya, hearing Yun Qingya's words, Yun Luo was silent for a moment before saying, even if the news that you live can't be known outside, little Fenger is still your niece. Now that she has grown up, it is time to let her know about her uncle's, existence. Chapter 5, Medical Gods Code, 1. This continent is called Longshao. It is a continent where martial arts are respected, and those who practice martial arts are called spirit cultivators. A spirit cultivator is divided into different levels: early, middle, high, earth, sky, god, and sage. Each level is divided into low rank, intermediate rank, advanced rank, and peak rank. However, in Longyuan Kingdom, the strongest people are at high level, and only 2 are at the high level spirit cultivator level. One is my cheap grandfather, the other is the expert from the imperial family. On the bed, a young girl opened her eyes. She sorted out the information she collected, lightly sighing. Unfortunately, this body is weak and of poor quality. I have no ways of becoming a cultivator. On this continent where martial arts are respected, a person who can't cultivate is known as trash. It's not that this body's original owner never tried cultivating before, but every time she started to absorb the surrounding energy, the body would start to feel a stinging pain and cold sweat would break out, so she could only give up. The good thing is that the previous Yun Luofeng deeply studied many cultivation techniques, and now it will be handy for her. Hiss. When Yun Luofeng tried to absorb the surrounding energy, her body suddenly felt a stinging burst of pain, so painful that her body was trembling and cold sweat dripped down. No, I cannot give up. If there is no way to cultivate on this continent where the strong are respected, besides living in humiliation, I can only wait to die. I will never be willing to become trash. At the door, when Great General Yun Luo was thinking of pushing open the door, he felt something. The hand that was touching the door stopped. Immediately, a girl's sonorous voice crashed into his ears, like a hand harshly squeezing his heart. Ah! Yun Luo took back his hand. In his eyes, beside guilt, now showed an additional sign of distress. This girl put so much effort to cultivate, but he actually believed outside rumors and misunderstood her. Not only did he not come back and care for her, but instead he interrogated her as well as broke her heart. Sir General. Just when Yun Luo was feeling guilty, the housekeeper hastily came from behind, bowed with a clenched fist, and said, His Highness the Crown Prince came to pay a visit. He is now waiting for General in the main hall. Crown Prince came to visit. Yun Luo pondered for a moment in front of the closed door. In a heavy tone, he said, Go and relay that no one is allowed to disturb the eldest miss. Yes, sir. Toward Yun Luo's arrival, Yun Luofeng was aware of it. But at that moment she already could not sleep due to her pain. How could she be in any mood to care for him? If there was someone here, they would definitely be scared by Yun Luofeng. Because they would only see a young girl in white covered with blood. Her pores were opened and continuously flowed out beads of blood, and it looked as if she bathed in a pool of blood. It looked exceptionally frightening. Just when Yun Luofeng was fainting from hypovolemia, a sound exploded in her mind, instantly recovering her senses. Chapter 6, Medical Gods Code 2. Master, you really did act recklessly. If it wasn't for me waking you up in time, I'm afraid you would have died right here. A soft voice appeared in Yun Luofeng's mind, and then, her mind went completely blank. When she recovered, she found herself positioned within a narrow piece of land. Standing in front of her was a little boy, wearing white clothes and looked like a pink jade-carved cherub. It is clear the voice that appeared in Yun Luofeng's mind a moment ago was from this little boy. Master, long time no see, I missed you. Upon seeing the appearance of Yun Luofeng, the little boy smiled cutely with his 2 eye tooth showing and happily flew towards her. Crash! Who knew that once the girl saw his movements, she would hurriedly lean over and move out of his way. The little boy did not have time to stop his footsteps and staggered to the ground. He fell like a dog eating mud. He then picked his little body up and stared at Yun Luofeng with sad eyes. Master, you are so cruel. Quote. Wait, Yun Luofeng interrupted the little boy. While deeply frowning, she asked, Who are you? Where is this? Do we know each other? Master, you have forgotten about me. Once the little boy heard this remark, his mouth suddenly curled up like he was about to cry out. If you didn't pick me from the library, I am afraid there is no way for me to meet Master. I didn't think that Master would forget me in a mere 2 weeks. Library. Yun Luofeng was completely confused. What did this guy say? What library? Master, I am the guardian spirit of the Medical Gods Code. You took me from the Huaxia University's library. Medical Gods Code. Boom. This piece of news was like the startling shock of thunder, and Yun Luofeng froze. She had accidentally picked up the Medical Gods Code from the corner of the school library, but there was no record of the Medical Gods Code in the library, so the old man that was in charge of the library gave it to her. She didn't know why, but this Medical Gods Code had always been unable to be opened. She had exhausted all kind of methods, but they were ineffective. She didn't expect that after being transmigrated, the Medical Gods Code would also follow her here, and a self-proclaimed guardian spirit of the Medical Gods Code that resembled a little boy would pop out. How can you be here? Yun Luofeng recovered and asked. She would like to ask even more, is this why she crossed over to this continent? Yun Luofeng believed that this matter was definitely connected to this little guy. Master, before, when you were doing an experiment in the laboratory, the results caused an explosion. It was I who took you to the Longshao mainland, or you would be dead. The little boy proudly lifted his head, taking all the credit, and then, as if he remembered something, he became dejected. Unfortunately, spiritual energy didn't exist in Huixia. I couldn't even bring you into the world within God's code, let alone cultivating. Otherwise, you wouldn't have suffered physical destruction because of that small explosion. Yun Luofeng's brows wrinkled, her lips evoked a touch of an evil smile. From the meaning of your words, it appears you do not belong to Huixia. The little boy nodded his head, seriously replying, I belong to the Longshao mainland. It is due to an accident that I appeared in Huixia. There, I was inadvertently picked up by you. But, Master, you were in serious danger. If I didn't stop you, I am afraid you would have bled to death. Quote. Chapter 7, Medical Gods Code 3. I know, but give me another chance, and I would still do the same. On Longshao mainland, the weak are like ants. And I finally have a second chance, how can I easily give up? If I want to live, it can only be done by becoming stronger. Hearing the voice of Yun Luofeng, the little boy was stunned for a bit. At this moment, seeing her brazen features fill with self-confidence, he was subconsciously dazed. Master, if you want to become strong, I can help you. The little boy's eyes were firm. I have to say, Master, your luck is very good. With such a good quality physical body, although the people of this world say that the original Yun Luofeng was a waste, it was because no one could help her cultivate. It should be said that no one on the continent of Longshao could provide her with the correct way of practice. If it was following the ordinary way of cultivation, then this body would be full of unbearable pain. If it was forcibly cultivated, you will definitely die from too much blood loss. He paused before saying, but, Master, since you forcefully practiced and caused excessive bleeding, I was able to form a blood contract. Otherwise, I am afraid we would not have met so soon. Hearing this, the Yun Luofeng felt moved, asked, you really can help me? The little boy nodded his head. Master, I am the guardian spirit of the Medical Gods Code. Don't look down on me because I'm small, in fact, I have lived for many years. This world has nothing that I don't know of. In addition, does Master know what this place is? What? Yun Luofeng eyebrow creased. This is the spiritual medicine space. Inside this space, there is a very strong spiritual energy. Of course, in addition to the usefulness to herbs, it is also a good absorption source for spirit cultivators. If you put outside herbs into the spiritual medicine space, those ordinary herbs will have spiritual energy. The effect is naturally incomparable to ordinary herbs, said the little boy proudly. In the current Longshao, spiritual energy is extremely rare on the mainland. There is no way of making spiritual plants, so, if you take out a stalk of a spiritual plant, it is bound to cause a great sensation on the mainland. Yun Luofeng looked at the little boy. I know that humans and spiritual beasts can cultivate, but I have not heard of herbs that can also absorb spiritual energy. Once he heard these words, the little boy was a bit angry. He thought that Yun Luofeng didn't believe in his words. His pink jade-carved face turned red in anger. What I said is true. Medicinal herbs need to rely upon spiritual energy in the world to grow, but now that the mainland has too little spiritual energy, it cannot be compared with the past. So it has been many years without a successful growth of spiritual herbs. Look at those mainland's doctors, they cure common stab wound patients with ordinary herbs which take a long time to recover, some will even scar. If a doctor who has spiritual herbs used it on deep stab wounds, it could be immediately restored. This is the difference between spiritual herbs and ordinary herbs. The little boy said angrily, in addition, healing is just one aspect of the use of the spiritual herbs. Some spiritual herbs can be used to help practice, and some are even able to directly make a spirit cultivator breakthrough. Breakthrough. This, she had to say. Yun Luofeng's heart was moved and her wicked eyes glinted with a mysterious light. The little guy was still chattering. And, even if one day your strength was destroyed, spiritual herbs can also restore you at the peak of power. But with your present strength, the spiritual medicine space can only open up such a small amount of land, so wait until your strength has made a breakthrough, it will have more land. Chapter 8 The Crown Prince's Visit 1. Yun Luofeng didn't expect that when she had inadvertently picked up the medical god's code, it would bring her so many benefits. When can I cultivating? She asked after thinking for a while. Obviously, to the current her, cultivation is the most important thing. Master, I have a prescription here. If you use these herbs and soak in them for 5 continuous days, then I will give you the cultivation method you need. Speaking up to this point, the little guy paused and then continued, this medicinal bath is to help you exercise your physique, so no matter how painful it is, you have to endure. After 5 days, you can start cultivating. Unfortunately, if there were spiritual herbs, you wouldn't need to suffer for 5 days, just 1 day would be enough. But with your current strength, you must spend 3 months to grow the spiritual plants, so the required time is too long for you. Under this situation, if the herbs were planted into the spiritual medicine space, the time needed was 3 months for it to be nurtured into spiritual herbs. What he chose was the second best option. I understand. Yun Luofeng took the prescription that was handed to her by the little boy. Oh, that's right, you have not told me what your name is. Xiao Mo's face had a bright smile as, with a tender voice, he answered, Master, I'm called Xiao Mo, don't forget my name. After pocketing the prescription, Yun Luofeng lifted her head to look at Xiao Mo. Suddenly, the boy's lovely smile entered her sight, making her unable to hold her hands back from pinching the little guy's face. Her lips curved into an evil smile. Xiao Mo, I have been here for too long, it would be easy to be found out. But I don't know how to leave. The girl's palm was warm, so it made the boy's cheeks turn red. After hearing the girl's words, he bit his lip, he looked at her with watery eyes. Master, you have to leave so soon. I was finally able to see you, and no one will know of your current situation. When you come to this place, in the eyes of outsiders, you look like you're asleep. No one will think you're within the medical god's code world. Yun Luofeng was silent for a long time before slowly saying, then can you leave this medical god's code world? Xiao Mo shook his head, his eyes filled with loneliness. Master, I am not a human, nor am I a spiritual beast. My spirit was born because of the medical god's code, I do not exist in the world. However, wait until Master's strength becomes very powerful. Then I can temporarily leave the medical god's code world and appear by your side. But I cannot be more than 100 meters away from you. Xiao Mo, this is my last question for you, why did you choose me? Huixia's people amounted to tens of millions, she couldn't understand, why did the medical god's code choose her in the end? I also don't know why. Xiao Mo's eyes revealed a touch of doubt. Maybe it's because you chose me first, if not for you, I would still be thrown somewhere in that library, perhaps, this is the reason I chose you. When Yun Luofeng left the space, she found herself lying in bed. Her arms were holding a book, written on the top laid 3 impressive-looking words, Medical God's Code. It also proved everything that happened before was not a dream. Miss, are you awake? Maidservant Qingyan saw that Yun Luofeng had opened her eyes, and her heart was filled with joy. And then, as if she thought of something, her little face turned gloomy and looked depressed. Miss, His Highness the Crown Prince is here. The General wants you to go make a trip to the guest receiving room. This servant saw Miss napping, so I didn't disturb you. Now that you are awake, this servant needs to go report to the General. Chapter 9, The Crown Prince's Visit 2. The Crown Prince. Yun Luofeng's brows wrinkled and climbed up out of the bed. But the moment she got up, she couldn't help but pause. If she remembered correctly, before, she was forced to quit practicing because of blood loss, but now she was completely clean. Her white clothes were clean and elegant, as if they were freshly washed. What's actually going on? Yun Luofeng no longer thought about it since she didn't understand. She sneered and said, Qingyan, let's go, I would like to know why did the Crown Prince come to the General's estate. Without waiting for Qingyan to respond, Yun Luofeng had already walked out of the room. A little while later, Qingyan finally recovered from her shock as she hurriedly chased after, her heart filled with doubts. For some unknown reason, ever since Mrs. attempted suicide, it was like she was a completely different person. Even after hearing that the Crown Prince came to visit, she wasn't excited like in the past but gave a very strange impression instead. In the main hall, General Yun Luo was sitting upright, his brows were wrinkled and carried a bit of sorrow. By his side was one old person and one young person. The young one looked to be about 18 years old. He looked handsome, carried extraordinary equipment, wore blue navy robes, and his body stretched just like a sharp sword. As if he could kill someone out of the blue. Behind the young man stood an old one. Compared with the calm of the youth, the old man's face was completely livid, with eyes full of anger unable to be vented. General Yun, my family's prince has already waited here for a long time. Do you not know when your family's daughter will come out? This. Yun Luo had some hesitation. I have already sent the maidservants to notify her. It should not be long before she arrives. Of course, Yun Luo did not tell the old guy that he also ordered the maidservants to not disturb Yun Luofeng if she is busy and to wait until she is finished before informing her to come see the crown prince. So, when King Yin saw that Yun Luofeng was having an afternoon nap, she followed his instructions and had been waiting nearby for her to wake up. HMPH. You said that not long ago, but how long exactly are we supposed to wait? Yun family's eldest miss has a really high position, to actually let our Imperial Highness wait out here for an hour. The old man harumphed, saying impolitely. Yun Luo frowned, faintly sweeping his eyes at the old man. My granddaughter has important things to do, so I can only tell you to wait. If you do not want to wait, then you can leave. I will not see you out. You. The old man was angered by Yun Luo's words until his old face was red. His tone was angry. As we all know, Yun Luofeng only chased the Imperial Highness, the Crown Prince, from morning to night. Besides chasing men, what other things does she need to do? Now that our Crown Prince has come, she dares to create difficulties and not come out. Isn't it just to loosen the reins only to grasp them better? Thinking that deliberately dodging his Imperial Highness would make the Crown Prince look at her more. Yet she would not look at what she had done some time ago in broad daylight, forcefully grabbing another man. It's simply unscrupulous. Extremely shameless. Yun Luo's fist slammed on the table. He looked coldly at the old man, both of his eyes filled with wrath. Jing Lin, this Yun Luo's granddaughter, is not for others to say such irresponsible remarks. Moreover, what evidence do you have to prove that the rumor of my granddaughter forcefully snatching another man is true? Basing it on that man's one-sided words. If I ever hear you talk a single sentence of her again, I will let my millions of soldiers trample your estate. Anyway, this kind of thing, I have already done it once, I don't mind doing it a second time. Chapter 10, The Crown Prince's Visit 3. Jing Lin's face changed. It was clear that he was remembering the time when he took all of Longyuan by storm. That year, Yun Luofeng's parents led the soldiers to fight the enemy, and the result was that the current Prime Minister Mu had accidentally revealed this intelligence which was obtained by the enemy. This caused the tragic death of her parents. For this reason, a grieving Yun Luo called upon all of his soldiers to level the Prime Minister's estate. It caused a great sensation in the kingdom of Longyuan. In the end, the Emperor of Longyuan had to come forward to settle the matter. Although the emperor made him go to the Yun Luofeng's parents' tomb every year to let the prime minister express his apology and compensate for the loss, people still understood that the emperor is biased to the prime minister's house. For no other reason than the fact that Prime Minister Mu's daughter is the emperor's favored concubine. Originally it should have been the death sentence, but Prime Minister Mu is still well and alive, rose in position every year, and ultimately climbed to the position of the prime minister. As for the annual grave visit, if he didn't stomp on it, it was good enough, but to also expect him to go to the grave. Old man, recently, it seems like you get angry more frequently. You need to clear your anger. At this time, a laugh suddenly came from outside the hall. A girl clothed in white with a touch of laziness in her smile walked in. She had a wicked charm and looked undisciplined. Her eyes looked at Yun Luo's face without a hint of laughter. From start to finish, she did not look at the youth sitting in the main hall, as if she didn't notice his existence at all. Originally, the youth was only quietly sipping tea. Only after hearing the voice of Yun Luofeng did he finally lift his head. His eyes lightly swept over her body and had a hint of regret. One had to say, this Yun Luofeng was really beautiful. Unfortunately, she was a big-chested, brainless man-chaser, and did not even have a little bit of talent. So how could this rubbish of a woman have the qualification of standing by his side? He was destined to be a dragon amongst men, and she was just a waste that everyone disdained. If he married her, his reputation would be destroyed. Yun Luo dryly coughed twice, his face had a touch of embarrassment. Fenger, you came. This stinky brat, he was angry for her, yet she actually wants him to clear away his anger. Is there a need to anger people this much? In fact, Yun Luo Feng had come to the door a while ago. So, she had already heard just about all of grandfather and Jing Lin's conversation. Since the beginning, the old man's indiscriminate accusations toward her made her not have any good feelings toward this cheap grandfather. But she did not expect that, in front of other people, this old guy would stand up for her. Therefore, the feelings of having a grandfather seemed not too bad. Yun Luo Feng's lips curved up. I just woke up, so I would naturally be late. Woke up. Yun Luo's old face burned with embarrassment. This girl actually stayed in her room for so long because she was sleeping. Oh, Jing Lin sarcastically said, I have said it earlier, Yun Luo Feng didn't have any important things to do, so the important thing you said was to sleep. Because of this, it made our crown prince wait for so long. Yun Luo Feng looked at him. Sleep is a major event in life. If I did not wake up, I still would not meet them no matter who came. Fenger, Yun Luo pretended to snap, then turned to the youth. Your Imperial Highness the Crown Prince, one never visits the temple for no reason. You did not come to my general's estate today for something as simple as drinking tea, correct? The youth put down his cup of tea, with no emotion in his eyes. He said in a cold voice, General Yun Luo, this prince has come to the general's estate to dissolve the engagement. You should understand that your granddaughter's body has some problems. If there's no physician to help, she will be a trash all her life. So, for this condition, I will let Jing Lin use his ability to help your noble miss be able to cultivate. I have no guarantee that she will become a genius, but at least she will be like ordinary people and not be a waste. Like and subscribe the channel, leave a comment for more.